Unlock your full potential with Brain and Focus, a powerful supplement designed to boost mental clarity, enhance memory, and sharpen concentration. Made from a blend of scientifically proven ingredients like ginkgo biloba, omega-3, and essential vitamins, Brain and Focus is crafted to fuel your mind. Our process ensures maximum potency and effectiveness, delivering the perfect balance of brain-boosting nutrients. Take just one capsule daily, as prescribed by your healthcare provider, and feel the difference. Whether it's powering through your workday or staying sharp in life's challenges, Brain and Focus keeps you at the top of your game. Stay sharp, stay focused, and stay ahead with Brain and Focus. Brain and Focus, fuel your mind, achieve more. Go get this product at blackhotfirenetwork.com at the Sports and Nutrition Store.
Good afternoon, family. Grand Rising. You guys are doing amazing. Hope you missed this voice. I missed you all, your presence, your comments, everything. Bunisa to another beautiful episode of the Pan-African Bliss. It's been a minute. We are back in the studio from our amazing trip to our Tanzania people. It was amazing. 9 minutes past the top of the hour. The Black of Fire Network radio station. The of the 21st century. Yes, we bring you all the news and updates. What is happening in Africa and within its people. Positive histories, the negative ones, the current events, everything that is happening today in Africa. Keep you updated right here on the Pan-African Bliss Show. Of course, karibuni. That one second one. Everyone who's joining the chat. Shout out to everyone who's with us on TikTok. See, we have my guy. We have Manchester. We got Tosh. We got user 59. Karibuni sana. Shout out to everyone with us also on Rumble Beach. Everyone with us on the radio station. Yes, karibuni sana. My name is Joby to the first-time listeners. If in case you're here on the Black Fan Network Radio station, video of the 21st century for the first time, welcome. You've not seen this face for the last 2 weeks, but I hope you guys have been doing great, enjoying the shows that have been coming, of course, back to back right here on the media of the 21st century. To everyone live with us on Rumble, BitChute, everyone with us on YouTube, and of course as well on TikTok and on our radio station. Karibuni sana once again. I missed y'all. I hope you guys also did miss me. I did miss representing. There's something about, just not being on this mic, but I'm super, super excited to be back. We had an amazing trip, a peaceful one, a very exciting one, and of course, a very memorable one at the same time. But I hope you guys also are doing great on your end. I hope you have been enjoying whatever you have been doing. Like I see, Unsunken One is saying, I've missed y'all. I've been working long hours. That means I bet you've not been catching up with the shows, but I hope you're doing great, Unsunken One, and welcome to the Pan-African Bliss Show, where today, of course, I'll be taking you guys through everything that has been happening that I've not been able to tackle for the last 2 weeks. We're talking about Nigeria. We want to talk about the GDP of Nigeria, and especially when it comes to the production of food, where Nigeria actually does import a lot of rice, and that is worth of billions type of rice. And it's crazy to talk when you see this. And I remember me reporting actually some time back where these people have been forced to eat even the dirty rice because they cannot afford the price of the rice today in their own country. But along that, we shall be talking about African spirituality. I have a video to share coming from Burkina Faso where it is possible, and actually it is there. Is that we don't know how to tap into this energy, into this powers, where Africans, we have the ability, and we have the ability of flying. I remember Kita shared a couple of videos on this, but I'll be talking about that, where we shall be sharing on how Africans lost their own names, lost their language, and even their own gods, and how we got even to this particular point. But along that, we shall talk about also what is happening in exploitation of resources. I'm seeing countries, of course, like countries like Gambia. They're doing amazing in actually nationalizing their own mineral resources, and that is the current president who actually was sworn in just a few weeks ago. We're talking about Mamadi Doumbouya, and of course he has finally been able to take over 50 mining areas, and he has denied permits to countries like the US and other countries, and we'll be getting deeper into that, where he also has created the largest mining project, and is actually looking forward to see how this is going to be beneficial, of course, to the country of Gambia, Guinea, not Gambia, but Guinea. This is the country of Guinea, and which is being governed by a military who was sworn in as president a few weeks ago. We shall also be talking about what is happening still in Burkina Faso. Positive remarks with Ibrahim Traore, of course, with his remarks regarding the other countries and how they are being exploited, and of course, much more coming from the African continent. Karibuni sana once again. That is the top conversation of the day, but we shall also talk about how Burkina Faso has partnered with China to install 900 civilian cameras. This is amazing because they need to keep watch on the enemies who, of course, are trying every means to get into the country. I remember that was when actually Ibrahim Traore actually left for Russia, the Russia event that was there 3 weeks ago actually, and so many motorbikes were discovered in a forest somewhere, and these were motorbikes that actually were given to some of the jihadists that were supposed to go killing people or civilians in the Burkina Faso, or the country of Burkina Faso. So karibuni sana once. That's our topic for the day, and I hope you guys get to enjoy. But before we get into that, I'd love to remind you to download our application on the Google Play Store. Very easy for you to find. In case you've been missing the shows like Unsunken One, you can be able to stream live on the radio. So long as you have some AirPods, you're connected to the internet. Black Fire Network app is very easy to use. You can actually listen as you do other things on your phone. Just exit once and do other things on your phone, and you'll be connected 24/7. We have music back to back, amazing songs. We have amazing conversations back to back. So don't be missing out conversations. So long as you have the Black Fire Network app, you can listen via the radio. Other than that, you can also be able to catch up the shows that is on the show page, or rather on the TV section, which of course we are right now on Amazon, we are on Roku TV, and I hope you guys also are connected on that. And of course, Once you have that, we have amazing supplements that actually keep you hooked and keep you healthy, all organic. I did share some brain and focus formula, but let me share you some beetroot, because I tell you, for our trip the last 2 weeks, we've been drinking nothing but just amazing beneficial fruits. That is just literally, I can tell, apart from just my makeup, my skin is literally smooth and glowing. But get yourself some beetroot and ensure you stay healthy
Beetroot,
and organic.
nature's powerhouse. Packed with vitamins, antioxidants, and nitrates, it's known to support heart health, boost stamina, and improve blood circulation. Our beetroot is naturally grown and harvested at peak ripeness. The roots are cleaned, dried, and finely ground to preserve their rich nutrition content, giving you all the benefits in one pure form. Add 1 teaspoon of beetroot powder to your juice, smoothie, or water, or take it in capsule form as recommended by your healthcare provider. Beetroot helps enhance endurance, lower blood pressure, and keep you feeling energized and balanced all day. Fuel your body with the natural power of beetroot. Stay strong, stay healthy. Go get this product at blackhotfirenetwork.com at the Sports and Nutrition Store.
For only $20.90, and of course, you can also check out the amazing supplements. You don't just have the beetroot, you have brain and focus formula, we have multivitamin, we have CMOS, we have turmeric gummy bears, and much more. And it's all affordable. You can ask the questions in case before you purchase the product. You have an inbox chat there, just on your right downwards. You'll be able to see the chat. You can question anything, all the benefits, or also Google. Nowadays we have internet, so just do your own research before you purchase anything, and also ask maybe further in case you need some further details, and you'll be answered. Rather DM us on our Instagram, that is of course Black Hot Fire Network Radio, or rather email us at kcnews15@gmail.com, and you'll be answered immediately. In case you're also having or facing any issues with your purchase, ensure you communicate to us, and you'll be directed on how to get your delivery, or how to actually, of course, purchase these amazing supplements and merchandise as well. Karibuni sana once again. My name is Joby. As we get started, of course, to everyone live with us on YouTube, Rumble, Beetroot, everyone with us on the radio, once again, Karibuni. And of course, I want to start with some little bit of African history, and this is us talking about, or just trying to take us back onto how Africans were, their own heritage was taken away from them. We're talking about losing your name, because when we talk about losing your name, we know that today most of the African children don't have the African names. We've grown up, actually, of course. I remember me personally being kind of sort of affected by that when we were choosing our third names for primary. It's very mandatory in most of I don't know if it's in most of the African schools, but I know in some of the schools in Kenya, it's very mandatory for you to add a third name for you to be able to sit down for your national exams. So for me, it was actually very difficult. I didn't want to add any mother tongue name. I loved my English names. I was just like kind of cool with Jobida Nelson. And then I was told to choose a third name, which one to add. And then I chose Natalie. Actually, that's where the name Natalie came from, because I really loved the name so much that I wanted it to be now my third name. Okay, so you can see what the effect of colonization actually starts from, or where it came from, to the point where we think the names from, and the fact that I knew in my mind that my ancestors were not good people, because we've been given that display of, hey, these people were chopping goats, drinking blood during rituals, and all those kind of crazy things. So I'm like, why would I want to have a name of someone who was doing rituals, killing goats, drinking blood, and all that? So I was like, hell no, I'm gonna choose Natalie for me. So that's where actually the name Natalie came from. Okay, so if you look at mostly, actually, we talk about heritage, of course, the names is part of our heritage, and which we should be very proud of, but sadly, we are not really proud of it. They're saying, imagine losing your own name and your own language, of course. But when you talk about languages, personally, it's still something I think being honest, as much as I have these years of representing, understanding tribalism and the effect it has on Africans, I kind of wonder, apart from just Swahili, which was continental, which other language were Africans talking? Because, it comes, sometimes, I don't know if you guys do tend to question yourself that, because there's no way we just had just only Swahili. It's not just we had Swahili, and yet we're the same people who civilized this other group of race, help them how to read and write. So which other language? I'd love someone to answer me that, in case maybe on Rumble, BitChute, or right here on YouTube. Anyone who can do this, even after the show, maybe if you bump into this conversation, kindly ensure you pin it down on the comment section. Make me understand, where did we really not have other languages? Because right now, I understand the fact that we have tribalism, which is very, very bad. It has become very diabolic. But at the same time, apart from Swahili, what other language was our Africans talking? Someone, please, if you can, make me understand. That is something personally I still tend to understand, and I'm yet to learn much more about it. Because when you try to understand tribalism, it's kind of crazy. But anyway, so they're saying, imagine losing your own name, your own language, your own gods, because we know the gods and the religions we have right now as Africans, these were all brought as to sell fear to us. It was for us to give this other race the superiority we've really given them to date, which has become a very big effect. This is why you see people cannot even, cannot question a white man. I'd say at some point, Africans, I'd say, if you look at the mentality of Africans and how brainwashed we have been, especially walking around, trust me, will make you see things. Exposure is such a good thing, and I'm really grateful. Apart from just being a Sagittarius and loving adventures, I'm grateful that I'm able to travel and see and resonate with so many people outside the country and also within my own country as well. Exposure is something very good, because there are people in our very own country and they barely know much more about their own country. Keith also speaks about that a couple of times. There are people who have been born in certain states and they live and die there without wanting to expose themselves outside of that's just what they know. Okay, so of course we have the gods, and what I've seen or what I've learned when it comes to gods and white people, why Africans, which I have a video also to share on that, why an African is going to be served last than a white person when they walk into a restaurant. We have this notion because that the fact that Jesus' image is displayed white, so all white people should be respected. All white people should be treated a certain sort of way. I had to check one in Tanzania for being stupid or acting stupid, I had to check one, but story for another time. And of course, they're also adding and being told it's for your own good. So yes, they're saying, imagine losing your own name, losing your own language, your own gods, and being told this is for your own goods. Because when you go back to history, I remember the books. Can I remember the books of? I can't remember this. The name is coming and going, but these episodes, we did 8 episodes of it, and then it was breaking down how Africans were being beaten and being forced to accept this white religion, and which instilled fear now to the fact that women have to pass down this fear to their children, because it's from generations to generation that you grow up knowing not any other god but this that actually was forced into you, which led to so many killings of, like your husband. You'll see your husband being hanged or being killed for it to instill fear to you, so that you can pass this knowledge to your children, and your children will pass this knowledge to their children. And that is where the effect, literally, of course, we understood and understand it comes from. But they break it down and say, before colonizers came, Africa had powerful cultures, spiritual systems, and ways of life. We knew who we were, and we had no doubt. But today, it's sad that Africans don't know who they are, and they have doubt in themselves. That is just the reality. Most of the African people walk in so much doubt of themselves. They don't have belief in themselves. And this, when you talk about even the confidence, most of the Africans don't have confidence because it has been snatched away from even, number one, we're growing up with parents who are not even healed. So the fact that you're growing up with parents who are not healed, this is a trauma that is passed generations to generations. Your parents don't know themselves, so they pass the same trauma that they were passed, being beaten, thinking that the ways of correcting someone is just through caning them. You have to be harsh for someone to try understand you. Those are some of the things that actually have made Africans today not understand who they are as people. Because personally, I remember I used to sit down most of the times and ask, especially if my parent could correct me. I could even question, like, is this my parent? Why are you caning me? Why can't you just be kind? Why can't you just teach me in a kind way? Why can't you just be understanding, try to understand my perspective before you put your own perspective of caning? But it's coming from the traumas. And it's true, actually, if you look at it, not just Black people, I'd say globally, personally, I feel like Black people, in which, of course, in many videos I've had this, also most of the fellow Black people, brothers and sisters who I share their videos there, you'll hear sometimes in a video of it saying that Black people are traumatized, or Black people still have some certain sort of trauma. And this is coming back from slavery, because we had our ways of living, we had our ways of life, we had our own cultures, we had our own governance systems, we had our ways of life. But today we live in someone else's laws, culture, system, and life. So much westernization has gotten into us. One thing I love about going to Tanzania, as I get to continue this article, I'm going to take some time on this one. One thing I love about when you go to Tanzania, there's this village museum, of course, which we managed to film again for you guys. That was the second time we went there. And I love the fact it still has these symbols of how we used to live. And this is what you could see. For me, it still remains a wow for me, because when you look at the village museum, how they break down how the houses, how the husbands used to live, the wives used to live, if you could get two wives, or if you are able to practice a polygamous marriage, is because, number one, you're rich in land, you're rich in cows, goats, you have wealth to supply to this other generation in case also something happens to you. And these wives will not have to fight for this wealth. Instead, they'll understand to multiply to their children and also teach them how to produce more. That is one thing I love about that village museum. It breaks down every culture, every tradition, how it was played, how the parents or the elders played roles in the community, the society, children, how they played a role in the community and society. Today, it's totally different. I remember there's a time before I left for Tanzania, I did discuss about land heritage. And we saw literally today, only 10% of women in Africa own land, despite 80% of women working in these lands. Only 10% own lands. But if you go back to history, these women, when your husband could die, this land belonged to you, and you'll manage and you'll know how to divide it to your children as well. It's not going to become a fight, or the first wife is fighting this one, or the second wife is fighting this one. We knew how to live with each other. And this is why polygamous marriage, actually, even back then, it was very easy to participate in or to practice, because leave alone wealth, we knew the ways of living. We're going back to the real African culture and the real African self, when we knew who we were, and when we had no doubt in ourselves, when we had no tribalism affecting us, when we had no, because this is a Kikuyu and I'm a Luo and I'm the first wife, and we knew who we were, and we had no doubt in ourselves. But this article continues, and they say, then came colonization, and which they didn't just take the land, they attacked the mind, which has become a very, very big problem. One thing, again, we learned through this trip in Tanzania, because, of course, it has happened a couple of times. One thing I understand about Tanzania culture is, and when you go to the Roms, you have to do what the Roms do. But sometimes, hey, if the Romans are 90 years, 80 years backward, sometimes you gotta introduce them to something new. Maybe, I don't know if that applies, but one thing I've understood when we go to Tanzania, there's the waist beads that we wear, especially for us in Nairobi, and I've seen most of the Black American women or Black women across other African countries, they wear them specifically nowadays for beauty. In Tanzania, having a waist bead outside your clothes, that is a taboo. That is only for your husband to see. It is not for everyone to see. So if actually anyone sees your waist bead, whether a woman, whether a child, whether an elderly person, that is a taboo and you're doing the wrong part, the wrong thing. So one thing I've respected, actually every time I go there, I prefer not to carry my waist beads. Instead, I'd leave them here because I don't want to find myself in the wrong path of culture or the culture in Tanzania. Something else is that the dressing code, and this is where actually I'm trying to make it compatible with what the article is saying. They didn't just take the land, they attacked the mind. I remember one of the days we went to the market and I had like a short dress. It wasn't really short, something that I'm comfortable in, something that I wear here in Nairobi comfortably, something that I walk with in the streets. It wasn't something super bad. But in Tanzania, especially to the elderly people, one of them started crying, saying that the world is ending. The world is coming to an end, because of how I dressed. And this is going back now to the real African people when we knew ourselves. It's crazy because we used to walk naked. Our women, the breast, if you go back to countries like South Africa, in some cultures and traditions, there's still those who practice this. The women, their breasts are exposed. Actually, if you dig on TikTok, they're there. If you look at these videos, especially right now on TikTok, they're there. There's some, I don't know it is which culture or which tribe in South Africa that still practices this, but their women's breasts are out. They wear the short dresses or the short tribal, not tribal, but tribalistic, cultural type of dresses. But today, because we don't know ourselves, because if I wear this, I look like a prostitute to you, or if I wear this, I look like, you have already created some sort of narrative in your head because of the religion that was brought to us, which made us lost the sense of ourselves. Now, this is where the attack of the mindset literally comes in, because it was kind of crazy to see this. And then shout out to William, who was also explaining to us that actually it is so bad in Tanzania to the point where sometimes the men will beat you. In Kenya, I remember this was happening, but they did outrule this, and they said, we came up with now a theme which is called My Dress, My Choice, where I can dress anyhow and no one has the right to attack me. If you attack me, actually, you're going to be attacked back. You don't have a right to attack me because of my dressing code. But I remember William was trying to make us understand that in some places in Tanzania, like when you go to the biggest market, you have to walk with maybe a big scarf. If you hear them starting to hawk, just take out your scarf and, tie yourself, and they'll not have any problem. So you can see literally where apart from just taking the land, where the attack of the mindset of Africans started from, because we used to walk naked. So how comes that now this is a problem? They also they called African traditions evil, of course, and which is crazy because what they called evil is what they use now today. They have, of course, evilized it, but they use this knowledge and power that they ensured we abandoned to keep us trapped somehow in this universe, if I'm making sense. What they called evil, our powers, our cultures and traditions, they took it, went and modernized it, if I can say so, and made it more evil, because with them it's more of now the drinking of the blood of the innocent children and all that. And now they use all this power to keep us trapped in this realm. And they forced us, their religion and cultures on us. Now we practice the fake spiritualism more. We believe in the fake religion. We'd rather wait on the God that does not exist rather than using the God within us to tap into our powers and what we're capable of. It's deep. Thinking about it, it's super deep. And this is why you have to educate your children, family. You have to educate your generations. Personally, I always say it's good sometimes, even if no one is going to pay attention to you, try at least mention something to someone. Of course, there are people you can't have clearly a conversation with them, especially about this. There are people who don't want to hear nothing to do with history, nothing to do with who they originally are, because we're talking about actually here when Africans knew who they really were. it's okay when you bump into such like kind of people. But personally, I always feel like I'll touch on the conversation. Like this is what I was doing in Tanzania, right? The Tanzanians were mad because Kenyans went and invaded Tanzania. The activists came to Tanzania and that they were trying to rescue one of the activists who's standing for presidential seat, but is not being given a chance. When you listen to Tanzanians asking them, why do you think why are you saying Kenyans should not be involved in the Tanzanian politics? They're like, us, we love peace here. We like, we love being in love. We love other sorts of competitions, da 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 da. But the fact, when you listen to the mindset, you can't hear me, Keith?
Can you hear me?
I hear you, Keith. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me, Joby?
Yes.
I can hear shit on my end.
I hear myself. I don't know what's wrong on your end.
Go ahead, but I can't hear a damn thing.
All right. Okay, so going back to, let me remove Keith before he figures out WhatsApp. But before he figures out let me see. Okay, all right. Yeah, so where was I? Keith confused me. But so literally Africans knew themselves. Like I was saying, yes, in Tanzania, what I was doing is I could touch a conversation, and if I hear your mindset is not able to consume this conversation, at least I've told you. I feel like it's a duty, I don't know, to the awakened people. Try mention something to someone. Probably it might not hit right now, because I feel like that is what happened to me. For me to get actually even on the blackout fire, for me to learn everything that I know right now, I had this friend, a really close friend of mine. Then I remember one day he came to me and told me, Joby, do you know you've existed before? Do you know that Jesus is not real? And I was like, man, you better shut up with this BS. You better you better get out of my face with this nonsense right now. What do you mean I've existed before? And because I was not ready to listen and to have that conversation, I even like literally cut off this guy, because I was like, nah, what do you mean Jesus does not, what are you trying to say now? Jesus does not exist and all that. What do you mean I've existed before? You know what, even where you caught my head is you've existed before. I'm like, what? You really completely messed up. You're using too much drugs and you need to stop and all that. So, and later on, I think it was a year or two, and then I was tapped into Mr. Blackout Fire and understanding all these things that I'm actually talking about now today. So I feel like probably it's our duty as the people who know something, try have a conversation with someone. If you feel and see they're not ready to have this conversation, then cool, at least you tried to mention something. But on the article, they continue and say, after centuries of brainwashing, foreign religions and cultures became the new norm. Today, many defend them more than their own blood heritage, which is very true. Because, I mean, a good example is when we saw the Israelites, they're called the Israel Christian, the Christian, Israeli Christian, I don't know. The ones who are in Kenya, and then they say Jesus is black and they were attacked. That is how bad brainwashing literally has become super deep, because no one is going to try sit down and understand, okay, why are you saying this and this? At least try to make me understand. Most of the people don't even that have critical thinking of trying to have a sense, like try make me understand. I don't want to be in denial as much as I'm in denial, or I am in denial, but I'll try to understand your perspective and then I'll leave you alone, because we do have those kind of people. So it's crazy to see how bad it has become. They're also adding, many feel very torn today, celebrated Christmas, but do not know their ancestors, the ancestral festivals. Exactly. Because shout out to Mr. Blackfire again. Literally, we've learned through him. Personally, I've learned through him, and of course, doing much more research. Events like the Valentine's, Christmas Day, all these events are really full of it's blood ritual events that these white people created and made it part of the calendar, which is not even the true calendar. if I'm making sense. So it's sad, and then it takes us back to again, which is saying we knew ourselves as Africans, and because of the brainwashing, today we celebrate Christmas and we don't even understand their ancestral festivals, where they really come from. Speak English or French, but shame on their own mother tongue, which is very true. And that's when I go back to now even the original naming of, or owning your own, I mean, your own name being stolen away from you, right? The fact that your name is stolen away from you, and the fact that you're being pushed to embrace languages that were not even yours, how do you expect to not shame? How do you expect these people not to shame their own mother tongue? You know, when you're told, like me, when I had the belief of my ancestors were evil, that's why I can't inherit their names. I don't want to inherit a name of someone who was doing blood rituals and all that. How do you expect someone to, like, unlearn that? It goes back to colonization. And then they add, it was never just about religion. It was about controlling what you believe and how you think, who you worship, which is a big problem. Karibu sana, Keith.
Asante sana. Can you hear me, Joby?
I can hear you now. What's up? What's popping?
Calm down.
I can't calm down, man. I'm back in the studio. That's what's up. How do I calm down when my voice can be heard audibly by everyone speaking this African knowledge? How do you calm down?
Well, yeah. Well, the destruction of African spirituality is based by science, not superstition. Christianity, Islam is nonsensical superstition. Now that the white people have advanced in science, they try to claim that they discovered all these things. Like I was telling Iraton last week about the universe being an illusion. All this stuff is with African spirituality. Or African spirituality was African science. They didn't do anything that they couldn't prove. So white man says he was a moron coming out of Europe. He thought this was witchcraft because he's detached because he doesn't have the melanin. Africans are naturally connected to the source, to the creator, through your melanin. And that's why Africans went inside, huh?
Just trying to understand something. If they believe it is so evil, and what I've understood throughout so many teachings, as we understand the way they control this realm, how they keep us trapped, haven't they taken this power, knowledge, and misused it now?
They're using that. They don't think they told you it's evil. They told you that's called mind control. They know it's not evil. They know that actually works. See, the only successful revolution was when the Haitians said, "Hey, we gotta get rid of this Christian nonsense and go back to our African spirituality." So that's how they were able to beat the three most powerful armies at that time. They beat the British, they beat the French, they beat the Spaniards. So by using African spirituality, because they knew there was no such thing as death. So that's why they could run in front of the bullets, run in front of, at that time, because they were the majority, they overwhelmed the British, they overwhelmed the French, because they ran right into the cannons. They also used African signs because they weren't afraid of death. See, African now is afraid of death because that Jesus, you're going to hell, and he's scared. African knew through his side that there was no death. This is an illusion. You don't die. Those are things you die because you're nothing but an energetic form housed in a body. Africans always do. Now white people are like, oh yeah, you know this energy and things don't die, and they put their names on it. This is the African been knew this, but they told you it was evil and wicked. And also, you understand how to use what they call root work or herbs to hurt people, because that's what you're supposed to have been doing, because you were under attack, because you allow people in because you're kind and loving. And if you guys look at the true word of nice, Africans that's considered docile and dumb and stupid. Saying these words. So African being like almost I don't want to say childlike, because the African being only human, he comes everybody with love and kindness, and the rest of these people do not act like that. So when they see your love and kindness, they say, "Wow, these people kind of love it. We can knock them on the head and rape them and take all this shit." Africans don't think like that. So
that's the BS. That's the BS. I'd say what I saw at the supermarket when we're in Tanzania, because I'm like, just because this lady is too kind and serving you, now you think you can raise your voice and talk disrespectfully? Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Just because someone they're serving you, you have been disrespectful yourself by tearing this product, and you're saying you're not gonna pay it, but you what? And she's still very, very kind to you, like telling you, no, brother, you're very wrong. You have to pay this. This is not how this works. And then
that's her nature. That's the African nature. Has been detrimental. Sadly enough, in a world full of vipers and snakes, that kindness is detrimental because they take advantage of that kindness. They take advantage of it.
That is what we're telling Tanzanians. We are trying to educate some brothers and sisters, because most of them would say we'd face some sort of from Tanzanians. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like some sort of attack, because kind of what Kenyans did, the Kenyan activists going to Tanzania, trying to save one of the activists in Tanzania, and then AI images were being displayed of Samia Suluhu on the coffin, being undressed and all that. So when we could meet some Tanzanians, they were like, you Kenyans, you're very, very brutal. You guys love, you just love fighting all the time. It's not fighting. We know what we want.
That's actually a lie. That's like all Kenyans are loving and kind, too loving and kind, like an irritant. Kenyans are, see, even an African fighting back a little bit causes disturbance with other Africans because they allow themselves to be pushovers. Kenyans are not brutal at all. They're mild and loving. So the idea that
we're trying to tell them, I'd say we do have a difference with them, as much as we are all the same people.
Well, I'm saying, even though they think that you guys are brutal, you're not. And according to the world, you're not considered brutal. You're just okay. Let's say you're not as docile as other Africans because of the awakening. But I'm saying, but see, that's how their docility works. I told you when I was there, when I had to snatch that Indian out of line, they started yelling at me. They started yelling at me for doing the right thing for them. But I wasn't lying. You didn't get in front of me, brother. What you did was wrong. Like what? Listen, that moron. You're gonna let people disrespect you? You insane?
It is super, super crazy. But we'll be telling much stories as we continue. But on this article, they're saying literally the same thing, that Africans have lost the sense of who we are, because just as I was reading it, it's explaining everything word by word, everything just little by little of how we had our own spiritualities, we had our own powers of governing, the system
which
of
is
governing.
Actually real. Yeah, your system is governing. You treated women with respect.
We had our own ways of lives, but if you look at today, there's so much westernization. The cultures have been stolen away from us and overturned. No one understands spirituality anymore, apart from speaking in tongues and all that BS.
Tongues is not spirituality. That's the goofy Christian religion. No, Joe, it's still there. Don't think those shamans still exist in Africa. They're just being quiet right now. They might be sitting next to you on a title. You wouldn't know it. They're there. It's still in Africa. That knowledge is still there. They just couldn't be with regular Africans because the regular Africans got stupid. They went to sleep, as they say, and they captured false religion like Christianity, Islam. But those shamans are still there, Joe. They're still in Africa.
True. I'll share a video. We have a man who is in Burkina Faso showcasing the spiritual ability of flying. I'm about to share that just after this one.
Shout out to Burkina Faso. They're the first. Shout out to Burkina Faso. You guys know Burkina Faso, the first African nation now. Another first again, are the first African nations to start manufacturing their own airplanes. And isn't it funny? As soon as they manufacture, we want to come and buy it. We want to come buy it so they can take control. See, Africa's never supposed to develop. You're never supposed to develop. You don't sell nothing to these people because it's your time to actually develop. As soon as they built that, we want to come and buy it and own. No, you're not owning nothing. We just created. You've been trying to kill me. So it shows that Africans can build everything. You need to have these wins because you've been told you can't do things. These are lies.
Because it's like when you go back to the Great Pyramids, like we've seen many videos educating this, how the universe could download knowledge to you. When we talk
Yeah.
about the great pyramids, how they built this, just because the knowledge was downloaded to you on how you're gonna do it. But today, Africans, we don't really have this. Let's just be honest, you
No
know.
one
So
does. No, none of that. Nobody, nobody can rebuild those pyramids. Those pyramids are too advanced, Joe. But those pyramids are built 7, 8,000. They actually old. I think the pyramids were like 30, 40,000 years ago. They want to say it's 7,000 years because that's when they show up on the planet.
mm,
The pyramids are older than that. But like I said, like I showed air time, you could manipulate sound. That's how you would lift those big blocks through telekinesis. The African was more advanced back then, so he can use his mind to lift things. So he can
yeah,
use telekinesis and manipulate sound. And
okay.
when you manipulate sound, sound can levitate anything, Joey. You can
Mm,
levitate anything with your mind if you match the frequency with something. And that's been
yeah.
proven finally through their science. But the African knew all this. This is ancient technology. So when the
Mm-hmm.
African knew how to do this, oh, like the African understood that in nature, the African is natural. He understood that the trees talk. Now the white
Mm-hmm.
man started figuring that there's a system that trees talk to us. The African
Mm-hmm.
knew that. But the Europeans, look at this crazy dumb nigga talking to trees. The trees would talk to you. You'd
Yeah.
have a relationship with trees, and they would grow herbs that would heal you. See, these are things the African is so spiritual, so intelligent. But when the white man, being a moron, seeing this stuff, he like he can't fathom this. But now science is showing that all this is true, all this is real. That you live
Mm-hmm.
in a system of connection where everything is living.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has its own intelligence. Trees are intelligent. You can talk to trees. Trees will start growing. They'll understand you, and they'll actually respond to you. I do it. I've seen it. I know. And that's because everything African is touched to the source, to nature. Go ahead, Jay.
Mm-hmm. So, of course, this article continues and say many Africans today feel torn, celebrate Christmas, but don't know their ancestral festival. Like we've discussed, we've talked
Nope.
about also the Valentine's Day, the Christmas, and so many other events. You know, they're all blood-based rituals. But we Africans, since we don't know who we are, we celebrate things that we don't even know where they came from. You also add speaking English and French, but shame your own mother tongue. It goes
Your own
back to
mother
this
tongue. Yeah.
about the owning our names, because for me, I've just described and then I've made you guys, for those who are listening, understand where the name Natalie for me came from. I didn't want to choose the local names or my ancestors' names, like my grandma or my grandfather or even my dad's, because we've been taught, or what we knew is that these people were killing goats and drinking blood, they were doing rituals and all that. So why would I want to bear a name of someone who was a witchcraft or a witch? You know, I don't want to do that. But now you look at it, you're like, wow, this is all misinformation. It's just that they want us to embrace more of these names that don't even carry any weight with them. They don't, because when you look at the ancestral
No,
names,
they want
they
exactly. They had you be ashamed to be African. They make everything anti-African. So it's the destruction of your mind
mhm,
to control you.
yep,
Like they told you, what they're going to do. We're going to come in. We're going to destroy these people's minds. They're kind and loving, so we're going to destroy their minds. And the only way we can do that is destroy their what? Their religious system. They wrote that up. They wrote that when they said they were going to come in and take over. So we got to destroy their religious system. We don't destroy them, their systems. We won't be able to conquer them.
exactly what it says. They're saying it was never just about religion, it was about control, controlling what
Yes.
you believe, how you think, and who you worship. And those are the key roles of literally what we're being controlled with most of the times today. They're also saying, but there is a thing, you can still respect your faith and reclaim your roots. Remember, you had an identity long before foreign powers arrived. But how do we literally reintroduce this back if it's not even taught in schools? You know, because this, just like the same thing, I've been saying this
The
quote every
schools are
single
European, Joe, but you got to like Ibram Tracy. You got to
Mhm.
tear down these schools, Joe. Your schools are European. They're
But the
not.
fact,
They don't serve
and
any African. Good.
understanding everything I'd say, and a quote I also saw from John Mosquito's post on Instagram, it was saying the first enemy of a child is an healed parent. And if you look at it, it's very true. And then this is why it goes back to understanding why Black people globally, majority, have trauma, why they're not or don't have the ability of becoming great parents, or some of them fail to become good parents, is because they didn't know better. The trauma of coming from enslavement, literally, or from slavery, when you're being forced these false religions, the false education, because it goes back to that video you made me share some time back. I can't remember the name of it. The 8 episodes when we saw how the man was being hanged in front of the child and the mother, and this is for this religion to be forcefully instilled upon us. So, which of course runs generations to generations, and it's really powerful and deep to think about it. But just like they're saying, remember you had an identity long before foreign powers arrived. You can't learn this if, number one, your parent is not healed, doesn't know any of this information, because your first teacher is your parent at home.
That's true,
Then
but you can't. But you really can't blame you really can't blame your parents because they were raised in a
okay,
system that didn't teach them anything.
yeah, we can't. Then that's what I'm saying. From now, I feel like right now, the fact that we have a group of so many young people, millennials, Gen X, those who still don't have children, the Gen Zs, those who still don't have children, now that we know better, we cannot continue with the same system just because it's a
Of
community and
course,
societal norm. The problem with Africans is that we don't know how to lose. I don't know. Most of the people don't know how to lose the fear of saying, like, hey, F this system. We've been following this for so long, We've been following the system that doesn't work for us. You study, graduate, number one. You don't even get it. You don't get a job. You're not being taught real skills of what you're supposed to apply in real life. What you're being taught is not even relatively close to the real reality of history. It's not. So it has to start from us, the parents, actually living alone now the system, because it's going to take time for us to change. When we talk about education, the white people are going to fight, of course. They're still trying in Burkina Faso, which has given Burkina.
of course they're trying to kill them because, but
No,
like Ibra Torre said, you got Africans that don't, and I told you that when I went to Africa, they don't know anything about Africa. Like he said, you got Africans that don't know nothing about Africa. That's on purpose. You know, no African history because you're made to hate Africa. You don't know Africa's greatness. You know Africa was wealthy. You know the richest people on the planet came from Africa. You didn't even know that. You're not even taught none of this. So like he said, we got to take back the educational system because that's why these, like you said, these Africans side with the colonizers like Simba, tell you that somebody about you, civilization. Moron, you created civilization. Your mind is gone. You're messed up and you're dangerous. And he's so, like even Therese, like a reincarnation of me. He said, like I said, you're dangerous. You're dangerous. You don't know nothing about Africa, but you live in Africa. And that's on purpose.
it is. It is because, like I said, personally, in our own history, I was even telling Shmani this when we were on our trip, when we were looking at the embassies in Tanzania. We have all sorts of embassies, of course, in Africa.
Of course.
So I was just trying to understand, like, when you talk about the embassies in school, it's not the reality of what it is in reality. These people are not here to help us in any sort of way. These people are
No.
marking territories to keep us in check.
Yes.
Check like what we're doing. Are we waking up? If they see us waking up and trying to claim our power back, everything's
Yeah,
fine.
but the African starts to know that. I've seen a video of an African, close down all. It was a guy in Kenya. The guy in Kenya. So then I seen the guy in Kenya said, we're gonna close down he said when we coup Ruto, we're gonna shut down every one of these damn embassies in Kenya. We're gonna shut down the British base here. You're gonna get up out of here. So they know the youth know now. They know these embassies are not there. There's no helping no Africans. They're there to spy on you and make sure you do, and to make sure these leaders do what they told to do. The CIA is all up in these embassies. It's just an extension of the CIA up in there. That's it.
Yep.
What embassies are.
It is crazy. So literally that article is just reminding us of who we are, Africans, who we were before the colonizers, how we had our own religion, we had our own system of governance, we had our own cultures. But the cultures of the European today is like, hey, we brought you LGBTQ laws, we need you to sign it into, and you must agree. If you don't, you get sanctions and all those kind of things,
Remember, exactly, because remember, since they keep Africans poor, they give out money for you to practice things that are non-African. So if I'm so like with we were gonna have that guest pushing that homosexual nonsense. Talking about we can't hurt them. No, we don't hurt them, but the GMOs are paying you to push this, lady. Those I mean GMOs, those NGOs are paying you, lady, to push this culture into Kenya. That's on purpose. So you're getting paid to put your culture that they know destroys African people. They know what it does. That's why it's there. That's why they got money. That's why they kept you impoverished, but you accept other people's cultures that destroy you because they give you now this fake paper money. That's why you must take back your sovereignty. You must take back your power because these people are openly trying to destroy Africa. So if I give you this damn culture, you're not going to fight me back because there are no homosexual warriors. Hate to tell you that. Okay?
We have now some Africans globally are criticizing Ruto because of accepting they had a meeting with the US general, that guy who spoke about Burkina Faso misusing gold and all that. He was spotted in Kenya. I don't know what discussion they're having, but this is rumors have it is regarding, of course, the agenda 2020 30 2025. So he's being called out for, of course, being a sellout. People can clearly see because other countries are literally calling this man for trying to speak evil of a country that is prospering, while other puppets are collaborating with the same person, selling out.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. The jig is up. So I said, why they focus on Burkina Faso, not the puppets they've had in for 40 and 50 years. And did you guys see last week when the 70 tried because he's scared? You see, I'm a 70 said he got him and his wife. I'm gonna see if Joby can find this. What we got? I'm a 70 guy, but apologizes. Huh?
Yeah, he was apologizing to the people.
If I did anything wrong in 40 years and you let me come back, I'll take us out of poverty and what? You've been in 40 years, moron. Uganda's poor as hell. What have you done in 40 years? And the country's still poor. Yo, you've stolen resources. You're a European puppet. People know you're a European puppet, moron. So you apologize, they ain't gonna work it. They know you're the fake Bobby Wine's a European puppet. They know that. And shout
apologize close to election. You must be dummy or something. Like you apologizing close to. You've had all these years of atrocities.
Exactly.
Ensuring people's lives are not better because I am the president and I said so. Okay, now towards election, this is when you come. Literally nobody. If you talk about actually the kingdom, because that is the kingdom side, right? If I'm not wrong, this is the kingdom side. It was the Baganda, the Buganda. Let me see if I can find the video.
The Baganda, but the Bagandas were actually the traders. They worked with the Europe. The Baganda is not really a real ancient kingdom. It was a kingdom of traders. So it's not that the Bagandan kingdom is not ancient. It's they're the ones that helped the British take over parts of Kenya. Well, it wasn't called Kenya. They wasn't called Uganda. They helped the British take over those areas. So they were allowed to keep their kingdom intact, but without any power, Joe. That's why you know that kingdom is there, but doesn't have any power. It's intact. It's just like it's like for show because they collaborated with the enemy.
Yep. Well, let me share this video here. This is coming from, of course, Burkina Faso, spiritual and African spirituality.
But let me say something real quick. So even Traoré is the only president that said this. He said, "Listen here. Once we get this terrorist worked out, we're going to Congo. We're gonna do what we gotta do down there. We're gonna go to East Africa, do what we gotta do over there." You haven't heard no person. He's speaking as an African. See, these borders are fake. He knows these borders don't mean nothing. You're no different than me because you got this fake border. I'm not a Burkina Fasoan or Malian. I mean, you can say the funny part about they rebuild that's the old Mali Empire. Because when you're talking about, because they were one people at one time. Senegal, Mauritania, Mali, Chad, Niger, Burkina Faso. That was in parts of northern Nigeria. That was the Mali Empire. So they were one people 700-800 years ago under Massamuth. That was one kingdom. So, and that was the richest kingdom on the planet, richest kingdom the world ever known. So them just revamping that, and they're telling you, hey, we're going to start coming making things right. And so that's why you see them merging, because you heard Burkina Faso right now, they're saying we're going to get rid of our borders. See, this is the beginning of the United States of Africa, which scares the whole world. It's African power. So what they're saying, we're going to be a confederate of states. We're getting rid of our borders between Mali, Niger, Chad, and Burkina Faso to start with. Okay? And then we're going to make one centralized system. And we're going to create our own currency. See, as adults, why don't Africans have their own currency? You're supposed to be at your own currency. And we're going to back it by actual stuff, not the fake paper money. See, with them creating a gold-backed currency, all currencies will collapse on the planet. Africa, again, will go back to being the richest continent, the richest country, period. Because their currency will be backed by a real mineral, gold. No currency on the planet is backed by anything but people's words. So it's actually worthless. It's what you agree to say this shilling, oh, this is a 10 bob. You agree to that. What's behind it? Nothing. It's just paper.
A question I bumped into one of the pictures, one of the pictures I bumped into, it was saying, why is Europe allowed to unite with one currency and no borders, but Africa with gold, oil, and diamonds still begs to be
you know why? Because that's white supremacy. You're supposed to be poor, even though you're the richest people. That's why you got to start fighting for what's yours. They don't have anything, so they've been stealing. Their fake superiority, it came from the stealing of African resources. See, everybody have the mind, everything's down there to build their civilization. Just like that German guy, professor told you, Africa has a role. It's to stay poor. It's for Africa to stay poor, makes everybody live good. And you can understand that Africa ever develops, we're going to be poor. Exactly. Because they come from poverty. Africans don't come from poverty. You've always been wealthy. You've been made poor now. You don't come from poverty. That's why I don't want to teach you your history. You come from wealth. They come from poverty. They've stolen Africa and now they got wealthy. The Asians. Funny part about it, guys, you guys remember the old movie? I know you're gonna laugh. I was looking at Forrest Gump yesterday. I know, old movie, but I was looking at, and you know when he went to China, back then, and this movie was only 30 years ago. Forrest Gump, I went to China. China don't have any. Chinese people are poor. Not that I just hear them saying that. China don't have any food, and China is poor. They don't have anything in China. It is completely opposite now. 30 years ago, this the Forrest Gump about. Yeah, I went to China. China's poor. They can't even feed the people in China. they don't have any religion. They don't believe in Jesus. Right? I'm listening to them saying that yesterday, and I'm like, wow, things have changed. China was poor, backwards. They still don't worship that goofy religion and stuff, but I was like, wow, you can't say that today. That movie's only 30. When that movie came out, 1994. That's 31 years ago. When you hear people, and it was a known fact that China was poor and backward and couldn't feed itself. That's just 31 years ago. That's in my lifetime. But anyway, I'm just saying. I found that fun. I found that amazing. Go ahead, Joby.
Let me share this video very quickly. Then I go to Burkina Faso and how they're collaborating with China. As we already wind up with Museveni's video due to time.
But understand, China's not our friend. China's got debt trapped just like the IMF and the World Bank. They want control of African resources because they don't have it. See, China has no resources. How they building all that shit? African resources. That's what builds all these. That's what built China. But China looking all like the future now. Remember, China was poor, so now it's looking all futuristic. Oh, that's the Dogon.
Yeah. So this is what Africans we've lost due to understanding ourselves, worshiping other religions that we don't know where it came from. We have
What
this.
he's doing? Yeah, he's been he since you're melanated, he's manipulating the magnetic field around him. So as your powers come back along, because you're going to Sirius, you're going back up in knowledge. All these powers are going to come back online. So the X-Men are you, and that's what Stan Lee said. He said that I got that from African science. All these X-Men movies you see with Iron Man and all that other stuff, that's African spirituality. Stan Lee told you I stole it and made all these comic book heroes out of it. But this is real. This stuff they told you, that's witchcraft. It ain't no witchcraft. Those are the powers that God gave you. You're God, small g. You're able to do all that. But you can't be afraid of it because, oh, the white man told me I'm that's evil. How's that evil doing that? How's that evil doing your power? How's that evil being able to block bullets with your mind? Because you can manipulate the magnetic field. You can have fire come out your hand. But you had to be responsible because you could kill people. Africans knew, you had to be responsible. You had to be, see, that's why the African is the only one that is a human being. So the shamans, I'm sure the shamans still can do that. I said that power's in Africa, but they had to go underground because we know the CIA went to Africa looking for these people and how to do these certain things.
Yeah, so on the last conversation of the day, it's about Burkina Faso. Of course, they've been doing amazing things. He did call out actually Nigeria. He said he was surprised to discover that Qatar is 10 times richer than Nigeria, despite.
Yeah, actually, they're not. They're not 10 times rich. No Arab country 10 times. This that the white man is stealing the money out of Africa, out of Nigeria, and the puppets have done. And I told people, like you said, nothing's ever going. Nigeria's not the giant of Africa. It's this. I can't call it Nigeria because there's no Nigeria. It's a country created by the British, just like Kenya, but they're all completely different tribes. So the name Nigeria is faking. There's no Nigerian culture. You have a Yoruba culture. You have an Igbo culture. You have a Hausa culture. You have a Fulani culture, but there's no Nigerian culture. And they hate each other. These tribes hate each other. This is a fact. In Nigeria, they hate each other. So there's no cohesive country called Nigeria. That's a fake rules. There's different tribes in Nigeria in this European construction of a country, but there's really no Nigerian culture. It does not exist. Nigerians will tell you that. There's no Nigerian culture because they don't get along. They have different tribal cultures inside this monstrosity called Nigeria. Okay, so don't get it twisted. When you go to Nigeria, they let you know. Nigeria, no, I'm Yoruba. I'm Igbo. No, I'm Hausa. I'm Fulani. I'm whatever.
Yes, so unless Nigeria gets a leader who is neither corrupt nor a puppet of the European nation,
right,
continue to suffer. And the giants will continue to crawl. That is what.
Yeah, exactly. Because she's in Africa is a giant because you got all the riches. And those lands, even though they called none of those places the Middle East. That's Northeast Africa. Those lands are stolen. Those are African lands too that were stolen by these goddamn cave beasts that came down. These another white people came down and invaded Africa. North Africa and that part of Northeast Africa was invaded by these people. So, like he said, since he's the one now telling the truth. You shouldn't be poor. Why? How's Nigeria poorer than Qatar? He's being facetious. He's lying. He knows that Qatar is worth more money right now. He knows that, but he's saying that. It's called being facetious. He's making a point. How can this even be possible that a Qatar out in the desert is richer than Nigeria? Because it's not. It's letting you know because you got corrupt leaders who are puppets. That's what he's telling you, which is a fact. There's no way that Qatar is wealthier than Nigeria. Nigeria should be goddamn. It's wealthy. It got the gold wealth. It's got the mineral wealth. I mean, the gold, the oil, and other precious minerals. To be 10 times richer than Qatar. It's not because that money, as Joby showed you, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers are all in Nigeria taking all the wealth out, and they made Europe rich. Okay, so that's what they're talking about. That's what he's saying.
On the other hand, we have, of course, Burkina Faso, which has partnered with China to install 900 surveillance cameras across the country as part of the Smart Burkina Faso project, Smart Burkina project. And this initiative also includes the deployment of an 800-kilometer optical fiber network to connect major cities, which is amazing. But
The thing with that, Torre, learn the knowledge. Because shout out to you. You don't bring the Chinese in to build nothing. You let your people do. You teach your same like the African bootlegs have brought these Chinese who hate you to build. Why do you pay somebody money to have their people come in and pay them? You just didn't pay them back. So you didn't pay for their workers and for the knowledge. That don't make any sense because you have taught your people nothing. Then you have Chinese run the systems, stay back and get paid off you some more. That don't even make any sense. No, okay, you can partner with me. Cool, I get that. You want to make some money up. Good, I'm with it. But all that knowledge is going to be transferred to my people. They're going to do the work. We're going to pay you, but they're going to do the work. So in 5 years, they can do it themselves. I don't need you no more. Same way they did China did with America. You get the knowledge. Because China, like I said, was poor, backward, didn't have any knowledge, couldn't build anything. Now they got the knowledge, now they're building everything. That's what you do. You don't say, I'm going to bring my people in. You're not bringing your people into my country to build nothing. Are you sad? I'm the one paying for it. Are you crazy? Okay, you can supervise, but those jobs are going to my people.
I do hope they could give us also clear articles of what is China trying to ask back in terms of benefits, because there's no way we're just gonna. We've seen
they're trying to colonize Africa. They're doing what the white people do. They're little nice. Instead of coming brutally, they're setting up what they call debt traps. They're trying to keep you in debt so they control your port. That's why they can fish off a Senegal. They're trying to control. See, China doesn't have any resources, Joby. It's resource depleted. What happened? All that fancy stuff you see in China, that came out the ground of Africa. It didn't come out of their ground because they don't have any resources. I mean, Russia does, but China doesn't. So Africa is resource intensive, Joby. So they're trying to recolonize Africa. And since the Africans are lovely, haven't understood it. I mean, a lot of them are waking up because I don't think they're going to be able to do it because I think it's going to be a war with these Chinese and they're going to get wiped out because the African is not going to allow no more colonization of him no more. And the disrespect China gives to African people, they're not going to tolerate that, Joe. The youth are not going to tolerate it.
Exactly. It can't be long-term deals. If it is a deal, it has to be an instant deal. Them delivering probably what Burkina Faso doesn't have.
It can't be. Yeah. It can't be you taking over my resources. Exactly. So when even say we're coming down the Congo, who's in the Congo? The Chinese stealing, got people doing slave labor. He knows that. So this is going to be a confrontation as you build, but that's when you start building Africa up into a power. You slowly do it. That's what they're doing now. Like I said, you must build Africa to a real military power. So he's learning. We build our own airplanes. So with the manufactured airplanes, Joe, with the regular distance passenger jets, now I'm going to learn how to build military jets, the real stuff, the fighter jets that I own and control. You don't buy no military nothing from nobody because they got control over you. You build your own shit. And remember, Africa was told, you don't need to build it. Don't build nothing as we steal from you. And he told them in the 70s, these puppets all signed that agreement. Ibram Traore tore it up. See what you're talking about. We're not agreeing to these agreements where we don't build our own weapons. And you the ones building us, got terrorism in here. Everybody knows now. The Europeans are Boko Haram. The Europeans are Al-Shabaab. The Europeans are ISIS. The Europeans are Al-Qaeda. All these fake names. They're the ones. It's just like Ibram Traore, they just had an arsenal. Before you check it out, Joe, we say Burkina Faso finds weapons in 47 trucks. So they had arsenals come into Burkina Faso. They caught them of all these advanced weapons. Who paid for that? Terrorists don't got no money. Terrorists don't got no jobs. So we know it's coming from Europe. Where the terrorists getting money from? And that's why you change the currency, because they won't be able to spend any of that fake money in your country no more. You just get the little stuff they need because that currency's null and void. That's why you also create your own currency. Stuff they use that doesn't allow no more. But Burkina Faso stopped I think it's like 47, 50 trucks full of weapons stash. Start a civil war up in there. Where these terrorists get money? What businesses do they run? Oh,
President,
none. Go ahead, Joby.
7 trucks of weapon in the border. The question is, who are these people?
You know
what
who
do
they
they
are.
Want? Please take your time and watch this video.
They're the Europeans. And they need to do this to keep Africa.
Shut the video because of the ball now. It's about to get down.
In a massive operation led by President Ibrahim Traore, 47 trucks full of weapons and military ammunition were seized. The amount and type of weapons captured made everyone's question even bigger. Who were these weapons going to, and who is behind this? The incident began 3 days ago at midnight in the Kanchari region near Burkina Faso's border with Togo. Border guards noticed abnormal activity during routine patrol. A long convoy was moving along the borderline. That is usually quiet at these hours. The size of the convoy and its midnight movement raised suspicion. Border Commander Captain Musa Kabore immediately reported the situation to higher authorities. Intelligence information received claimed the convoy was carrying humanitarian aid, but something was strange. Why would humanitarian aid be transported at midnight? Moreover, the convoy was using deserted back roads, not the normal route. When Traore received this information, his instincts told him this was not an ordinary event. He immediately called Special Forces Commander General Ibrahim Zerbo. General, stop the convoy, but be careful.
Pause it for a second, Joe. Pause it for a second. And remember, just last week, America sent a delegation begging, can we help you, Burkina Faso, that kind of nonsense, while they try to overthrow you. See, the dirty secret the Africans finally realizing, the wealth of the world is you. They've been stealing from you and then disrespecting you, calling you tribal, fucked up, poor, stupid, dirty, dumb, when the rest of the world has been living off your backs. That's the dirty scam. So they coming to me talking about you want to work for me while you're trying to overthrow my country by having all these terrorists with all these weapons. So they talk, you don't believe nothing of European. You've learned this finally, Africans. Anything they say, it's a lie. Everything they say, it's a lie. Anybody helping you do nothing. They only want to destabilize. They always want to get you on their favor until they can knock you out and shoot you in the back of your head. Okay, that's what they've always done. That's their history for whenever they came out of Europe. They never honored any agreement ever in history. This is a fact. So talking about them now coming back. See, any funny they coming in, they're not going on these bootleg puppets because even Traore is what? Showing power. So power only respects power. So now they're coming to him begging. They tried to do sanctions. That didn't work. No, you can't come to me, ask me for nothing. That's why he didn't even meet him. I'll let you meet my minister, and the answer is absolutely no. You tried to kill me 20 times or 21 assassinations. We know it's you. You're the one sponsoring these terrorists in here, killing innocent Africans. We know that's you. You're bringing weapons in here. We know that's you. But then you want to come with your fake ass diplomatic mission to me, talking about, oh, we need a special relationship, can we? I thought you said we're poor. They said we're backward and poor. Why do you need a relationship with us? Because the scam is coming to an end. Africans know you're not poor. You're the wealthiest place on the planet. You're not poor.
Mm-hmm.
So
as we get to the end, just to time is super gone. I'm 17 minutes literally on your time. Sanken one, Baron Scott, Karibuni Sana. He says, much love, the BHFN family. Much love to you too, Baron. Nice to see you. He says, your turn did a great filling in for me. And this is wonderful to see my beautiful face back. Nice to see you too. And I hope your vacation was pleasant and welcome back. Thank you. Yes, it was amazing. We laughed, man. It was a crazy one. Crazy moments, crazy events.
They wasn't on vacation. They was out there to do some work, Byron. They was out there doing work. They were not, even though they was out there vacationing, not there doing all kind of thirst trapping, but they was out there to work.
Yeah, it was a work trip, not really a vacation, but we also had some good time. I'm not gonna lie. But
hey, you guys know, Joby ate cornbread for the first time. Joby, you gonna eat your cornbread?
was so nice, you guys. I love me some cornbread now. It's really, really. I'm going to try the macaroni and cheese. That's literally my next bait because I don't know how it's gonna taste. I want to see that how it's gonna be. But Byron also says it's very sad to see how African has been educated. Number one, that says hey number to the worship to worship the Europeans. It's very sad. Yes, it's really, really because people have become so dependent, especially when it comes to that religion. Like you can't try to educate someone, especially with the religion. Like it's
But
crazy.
but I know you were seeing that, but they're waking up because I had an African lady said had me laughing on TikTok, telling her, she said, this would be scientifically impossible with this Noah's Ark story. Yeah. The little bitty ship that supposedly took all these animals. It'd be a logistical impossibility. You couldn't take all. It'd be scientifically improbable and impossible at the same time. I said, yes, lady. So they're understanding. Couldn't have been. And said, and there's no geological evidence of any flood all over the planet. No, because you just do it by geology. See, geology is a science guy of Earth. So you would see it on the earth where there was a flood that flooded the whole earth. It doesn't exist. It's not there. So she's telling the truth. I said, and she's African. She had me laughing. She said, you try to tell me, she gets like she got up in a religion, now and start learning science and geology. But geology would prove whether you had a flood. It would. It would shoot all around the world. It'd be sediments, when they say whatever time. So you would dig into the sediment and sediments back to that time period, and you will see evidence of a worldwide flood. It doesn't exist. You know why? Because it's a made-up story. Okay? There was never no motherfucking no ark and no worldwide flood taking every animal. He said you could even keep every animal, the logistics to feed them and to house them in a little bitty boat. They tell you what that boat, every animal on the planet. Yeah, you're like Joby said, you don't critically think. Your mind is effed up with nonsense.
Period.
Go ahead, Joby.
Thinking. He also says my hair looks good. Thank you for the compliment. I love it too. Also says and
Joby got the full treatment. I'm glad Joby was patient because somebody was learning yesterday on their nails. They did a good job. Let's see your nails, Joby. What do they look like? They did a good job, didn't they?
Yeah, they did a good job.
Yeah, it looks good. Yeah, look at that. That's the acrylic too, right? It looks acrylic.
No, it's tips and gel with some builder gel, and it's called ombre.
Yeah, the ombre thing. I thought the ombre was the acrylic thing. Ain't that the acrylic thing? I don't know.
Acrylic is expensive.
Well, ombre. Ain't ombre is expensive because they paint that shit on with that gun thing.
But acrylics is more of the powder. Use the powder. So no, I didn't use the powder. Mine is just gel.
Well, yeah. It looked good. That lady did a good job. She
she did good. I also told her good job. She did amazing.
She did Joby's hair, blow it out. All kind of stuff looks nice. Joby's hair growing too. Looks nice. Looks really nice. So anyway, like I said, these goofy religious stories, critically thinking the youth are not. And that young lady was young, so that gave me hope. She's like, there's no way this story is even plausible. Yeah, you know why? Because it never happened. That's it's a fairy tale. But it's funny. African spirituality is always proven through science. The things that you gave up are proven through actual science. Some motherfucker running around in a boat with a bunch of animals is crazy talk.
I'll represent an article. I see Byron, you're saying, Keith, one of the reasons why the country of Burundi is the poorest in the world. I think you're asking why. Burundi's
right underneath Rwanda. One time there was one kingdom, right? They split it up. Okay, so Rwanda and Burundi was actually the Tutsi kingdom, or you call it the And so what happened is the reason why is because they were fighting a tribal war. Because remember, when the Europeans came in, they put one tribe against the divide and conquer. So they took the Tutsi tribe, since they looked more European, they said, you're better than the Hutu, who look more African, right? But there is no such thing as more African, less African, because Africans create all phenotypes. Since the African woman, she creates everything. All phenotypes come from her. So you're going to have different phenotypes in Africa. And since the Europeans make fake names like Neolithics and all this crazy, it's all fake. They're all Bantu. So the African woman makes all phenotypes. So we look differently. But the European came in and pit African against African. And so when the Europeans were leaving, they never left to keep the reason. But when they, drew back, they had these Africans fighting each other because of a century of pitting them against each other. So that's why you got so John, who Irritan brought, he didn't want to say what tribe. I know why he didn't want to say what tribe he is, because they have a bitter rivalry in Rwanda and Burundi about who's going to rule that area, the Tutsi tribe or the Burgundian. Let me say, Joey's talking about the Tutsi or the Hutus. So if you understand, Museveni is not in Uganda, he's a Tutsi. Just like Paul Kagame is a Tutsi, which they're supposed to be in that area right down there, right? And so also in the area you call the Congo, that was the part of the eastern part of Congo was part of that empire. Burundi, Rwanda, and eastern part, that part of Congo was the Tutsian empire, or Tutsian kingdom, right? So those people that in 23 rebels are the tribal, they're not from Rwanda, because they cut that, they made them fake borders. Just like the Masai in Tanzania and Kenya. Those borders are fake. And so you cause these disputes because you made fake borders. These borders are fake. And since these Africans have not been able to come together because they've been given so much hatred of each other by the European. Africans lived in peace. There was no wars like this. Africans didn't fight wars with each other like this. It's only because now, through being conquered by savages who've taught this division, it's become embedded in their culture now. And so Burundi is not developed because it's been caught in tribal wars and nonsense. And instead of developing, it's been these tribes trying to keep on the power. And so it's hard to develop, Byron, when you're practicing tribal shit, because you're worried about keeping your power. See, to develop, you got to bring everybody in, and then you got to start delegating authority to actually competent people, not your brother, not your cousin, not your tribal mate. You got to delegate authority to competent people who are not part of your fake ethnic, your fake tribe. So you got to include everybody in the building of a country. Burundi never did that. They started killing other tribes. Burundi's history is. See, that's why John knew I knew about his culture. No, John knew I knew. That's why he didn't say that. Burundi has a culture of genocide because of being messed up by the Europeans. That they genocide other Africans. So they haven't thought about development. It's thought about one group of tribal people being in power. So they genocide their own growth, their own people. You can't genocide your intelligence, because you can't say that kid's not going to be smart because he's some fake tribal thing you get. The tribe is phony, moron. They're African like you. They're smart as you. So you can't develop when you're trying to hold power, and then you centralizing power in a tribal way. You got to release that and allow your people. Remember, they were locking up Burundis with Joby Choji just for laughing at the president. You had kids in school just making a joke. They being locked up. You can't develop with this craziness. So that's why Burundi, which is a rich area, because they sit right there on the next to Congo. So they're wealthy. They just haven't developed the wealth. And I hate to say, they've been governed by morons and ethnic disputes. So until you grow up as a people, you're going to remain poor. But the people that run the country don't mind it, because as long as they're rich, they don't care about their people being impoverished. So now you're also talking about a lack of morality where you don't even care. So remember, most of these African leader puppets are psychopaths. That's why Africa stayed this way. Go ahead, Jimmy.
That's why, as we wind up, shout out to your sister Michelle. Literally coming to the end of today's conversation. Time is super gone, but thank you so much for tuning in. Byron, sister Michelle, nice to see you. And to all the silent listeners who are tuning in right now, I see y'all. Hit that like button, subscribe if this is your first time. Ensure you also download our app. Very easy for you to find on the Google Play Store. In case you've been missing the shows, like I'm sunken one here, ensure you have the app. You guys, so long as you're connected to the internet, you have your earpods. Our app is very easy to use. You don't have to be constantly there. Just tune in on the Black of Our Network app, new segment,
keep it open.
and do other things on your phone. Yeah, do other things on your phone, and you'll be able to catch up with the shows all throughout, so long as you have the application. So download the app so you cannot miss out the shows. In case you miss out, you can also catch them on the live stream. That is on the show page. Sorry, on the show page, or rather on the TV
TV
section.
channel. TV section on the show page. Always download all the latest shows, so they're up. So whenever you guys miss a show, just go to the Black Empire Network app. I go to the live section or the TV section, and all the shows. I always upload the shows. Even though I didn't do another show this weekend, I still upload the ones we do during the week. So all the latest shows are there. So I do at least do that for you guys. Come, it's hard. You know, you guys ain't donating no money. It's hard for me I do 4 shows a week with Joey. So if I'm doing 4 shows, dang, at least, you know, so we got the Cash App scrolling across here. We got the donation page on the app itself, and we got this goofy what's this YouTube? What's this YouTube thing called, Joey? What's it called?
Super chats.
Yeah, the super chat. I don't want you to get no money there. We don't never get none of that shit. You know, we got the super chat. We got the super chats now back on YouTube, and we got it on Rumble. We just called Rumble Cash or something. So we got both. So we got reason to donate. If you appreciate what we do, you know, help us out. You know, I never used to beg. I got to start begging. I got to start. I never put none of my stuff. If I'm gonna start coming back doing regular shows, I gotta start getting some money from this shit. I work every day. Got to come on Saturday, Sunday, and prepare a show. I don't want to put my stuff behind a paywall. I've never done that. Never said. That's why I never used as we say what's the app called? It's called what's the app called?
Which one?
The one when you paid it, it's a completely paid site. You guys don't know. I never put one video on there. What's that I was gonna do? What's that site called that everybody use, guys? That everybody's got a channel there too. No, it's not spot. You know, we ain't even put out. We didn't did Sendwave, but Joey did see. I don't think we're gonna do it on Sendwave since I did a show, right? I sent my paper that not that one. I mean, not on Cinema Man. I mean, Spreaker. We ain't put a show on Spreaker either in forever. I ain't put a show. I think the last one is one I did on Spreaker. No, it's called what's that paid site, guys? Everybody use. What's that site called, Joby?
Which one?
See, I forgot the name of. Hold on, give me a second. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Give me a second. It's called Give me a second. I still got it somewhere on it.
Thank you. Yep, I'm well rested. I can't complain. It's not only fun, lol.
No, we're not talking about getting butt naked. We're not talking about getting butt.
Yes, as we come to the end, as it looks for it. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in.
Give me a second.
For those who literally are joining in late, you can catch the show on replay and catch up on what we've been discussing on today's conversation. For the pending conversation, of course, we'll be catching up during the week on most of the cases or news and updates that maybe you've missed out for the last 2 weeks. But of course, I also have a documentary, not really a documentary, but a little bit of history. You can talk about Burundi. I was also watching one, and it's serious genocide in that country. People are really getting killed and all that is super crazy. But yeah, much love, Keith. Have you found your app? Patreon?
Patreon. Who's this? Okay. Patreon. Called Patreon. I got the picture. They probably closed it on me. But everybody said, yeah, go to my Patreon account. That's where they get all them. I never put anything behind no paywall. Because I said, you know, even I opened it up, I never put none of our videos on there. I never did a live show on there because it's paid. But also, we can also do, because we don't need to use Patreon since we got our own network. We can, you know, I can make you pay that way. But I've never done that. So that's why I said, man, I can't be coming home I can't be doing 6, 7 damn shows a damn week. Shit, I do 4 shows during the day. Then do another. If I do another 2 on the weekend, that's 6 damn shows. That's 6 damn shows out of a week. Jesus Christ! Come on now, help me out. Help a brother out.
I was to say it was, but yeah, help a brother out. Thank you. Catch up with Orton and see what's popping on our show.
I'm begging. I gotta be begging around here. I know times are hard. Shit. I'm like.
On the Rhythm Scoop show as well, and of course tonight I'll be on the Africa Today show. So see you guys there as you see what's happening.
Yeah, that song jamming. Got a nice beat. Who's that?